Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me. I am honestly a little starstruck right now because your single Wet is still one of my favorite songs, but back in 2016, I listened to that song over and over and over again. So I'm in awe that I get to interview you.
Oh, that means so much to me. Thank you so much.
Of course. I'm very excited about your new single, Bentley Truck. It's going to be dropping very, very soon. I'm excited to cover the release. Tell me about it.
So Bentley Truck is my first single back. You know, it's been a couple of years now, but I wrote Bentley Truck in my home about 2.5 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And it was just kind of like, I think I wrote it in the summer. It was just like, you know what, I'm writing all these like heartbreak songs and, you know, all these like serious emotional songs, but I'm not even in that place anymore. Like, I actually feel good. Like I want to write something that just makes a girl feel like sexy and good, and you know what I mean, and like confident again. And yeah, and then I the producer came over to my house and we sat there in my living room and wrote Bentley Truck.
Oh wow, that's amazing.
Yeah,
I like that you bring up your voice because I feel like your music, you do have this sexy, sultry vibe about you. Where does that kind of come from? What inspires you?
Honestly, I guess maybe just the people that I gravitated towards, you know, growing up, having that same, like, you know, Sade was a heavy influence of mine vocally. I just loved like her tone, you know, Aaliyah, Janet, like they're all similar, and like those tones that they use is like, you know, very feminine, very soft and sensual. So that was just some, you know, those were the artists that I always like would sing growing up. And I think that that's just kind of like where, you know, where my voice went.
Do you consider yourself a romantic?
Yeah, hopeless romantic for sure.
I know your music, kind of like you were saying, typically is more lovey-dovey, sultry, sexy. Do you relate with that? Are you a lovey-dovey person, or no? That's just kind of what your music is.
No, I'm super lovey-dovey. Like I love. I'm a Leo, you know, we operate from our heart space. So a lot of times that gets us in trouble, but yeah, no, I write, I'm such a lover, and that is like what I feel like I'm like here on this planet for. And, you know, I always want that to like exude through my music. I think that, you know, especially with the times that we're in, and, you know, music has progressed, especially with women, into this like super like independent woman thing. And I'm all about that. I think that that's, you know, super important too, because, you know, we deserve to be heard, and we deserve to be, you know, paid equally, and, you know, do all these things. At the end of the day, I still love, you know, the essence of being a woman and being, you know, cared for, and then caring for someone. And so, you know, I think that that's really important to make sure that, you know, energy is in, you know, circulation as well.
That's amazing to hear. I love that. What are you most excited for with the release of Bentley Truck?
Just, you know, I think that people don't truly understand what artists, you know, go through just to put out music. You know, it's a music business, so it's a lot more than just, you know, dropping songs and, you know, just like throwing it out there. It's I wish it were that simple, but I'm just like super excited to share my art again, and you know, show the growth that I've had. And you know, most of the music now, I'm writing the majority of it, and you know, so just kind of giving my fans what they deserve, which is, you know, as much music as possible. And yeah, just continuing this journey that I've been on. So
we're going to get back to the music, but I'm going to ask you a few other questions. But I just reading on the internet, they say that you're a big Tupac fan and that you actually have a Tupac tattoo. Is that true?
I absolutely am a huge Tupac, and I do have his name on my arm. This is true.
That's amazing. That's wonderful. What's your favorite Tupac song, if you had to narrow it down?
Geez, I have different Tupac songs that are my favorite. It literally just depends on my mood. I love Dear Mama because I'm a mother. That's a big one for me. But then if I'm like wanting to be fun, NIGGA, rather be, I love that. I love Tupac, but the tattoo is really kind of like state of mind for me. It's more than just like, being in love with him, but the fact, just how much he was able to accomplish in, the small amount of time that he was here. And, Tupac was a poet. He could recite Shakespeare. They teach college courses on him now, so I think people reduce Tupac a lot to, him being sexy in his style and like all this stuff, but it was like so much more to that. And what I loved about him is just like how passionate and outspoken he was. And I'm very passionate, but I'm not super outspoken all the time. So, this is like my reminder of just, always like having that state of mind.
That's awesome. I know you mentioned that you are a mom. How do you balance, or do you feel like you balance being a mom, but working, creating music, all of that good stuff? How do you go about balancing it?
I've been doing it my whole career. My son has been my little, my little best friend, all of this. So, obviously in the early stages, it was much more difficult, but he's just, he's super smart and he's just super easy. He's super an easy kid. So he makes it easy. And, I think that if anything, he kind of just gives me that extra motivation and drive. And then not only that, but, it forces you to be an adult and time manage. Whereas to like, if he wasn't around, I'd probably just be floating a little because I'm just, I'm super free-minded, but he gives me structure.
Does he think it's cool that you're a singer, or is he kind of embarrassed by it? Like, it's too cool for it?
He thinks it's cool, but like, he's like he doesn't like to take pictures. He nothing, like social media is like a total turn off for him. So, he's just not into he's not into that. He doesn't care about it, you know what I mean? Like he likes it because I like my music, and it's me, but he's just like, doesn't want anything to do with the actual, the public side at all.
So I'm going to put you on the spot real quick, because one California girl to another, what's your favorite thing about LA and being in LA?
My favorite thing about being in LA. Yes, I'm a native. I love the city so much. I think my perspective is a little bit different because my mother moved away. And so, for a while during school, I had to go back and forth between Ohio and LA. And it made me love it that much more because I truly understood, the Midwest versus Los Angeles. It's just night and day, especially when it comes to culture. And so I think that that's what I love about Los Angeles the most is, growing up and learning about so many different cultures. We had International Day and it was like truly International Day. Like it's like every, everything under the sun. Whereas in Ohio, it's like you're white or you're black, and it was, you know, it was just, like I said, it was very opposite ends of the spectrum for me. And it just gave me a deeper gratitude and appreciation for, you know, from being from here, and, you know, being able to experience everything, you know, and really, and having the freedom to like understand myself being, you know, a mixed girl. And yeah, whereas to like in Ohio, like I said, it was just, everything was very black and white. Everything is very, you know, you only learn about American history, and, you know, just is very different. So
how do you think, if at all, being interracial in your background has influenced your music or your style at all?
yeah, I think that you know, I consider myself a Black woman. I've, you know, always just been a very soulful person. You know, I just always gravitated towards soul music, R&B music, because I had a close relationship with my father, who, you know, introduced me to all of that. But I think, you know, having my mother, and her family are also, they're very, like, I would say free, I guess, just very like open. I had, you know, a very easy childhood as far as like being accepted in my family. And they all live in Seattle, and they're very, you know, like forward thinking yoga people.
Awesome.
And love. So I dealt with a lot of racism in Ohio, but just as far as like my personal family and everything, you know, I never had to like think about that stuff too much, you know, until I was around the outside world. So yeah.
My last question for you, and I promised I would get back to the music a little bit. I know you mentioned a little bit about the creative process behind Bentley Truck. You wrote it in your living room. What is your process when you're sitting down to create a single like that? What is kind of the biggest thing? How do you even start?
My biggest thing my biggest thing when I'm creating is just about like literally about feeling it. You know, I don't like to go, you know, everybody obviously has their different creative processes, but I try not to go in the studio and be like, okay, I want to write a slow song today. And, you know, or like let's make a club song, you know, because 9 times out of 10, and, you know, with me, it never comes out that way. So for me, it's like, okay, it always starts with the music first. Like, let's find instruments, let's find beats that feel good. And, you know, because when something feels good to me, like I can just start writing like easy. And if it, you know, if it's something that you have to like, that I have to like sit there and, you know, try too hard for too long, like I don't, you know, I just move forward, because all of the songs that I, you know, for the most part, all of the songs that I put out have been like just super easy to write.
I love hearing that. I feel like it's it seems a little hard to come across people who are truly passionate about the music they're making. Sometimes it gets, you know, hard to truly pursue your passion. You know, there's bills to pay, there's TikTok, there's everything. So I love hearing that. Thank you so much, Paloma, for taking the time to talk with me.
Yes, no, thank you. I really appreciate it. And, you know, I love that, you know, you're a female journalist, and, you know, so I knew that questions would be, you know, geared towards that. And that's why I really wanted to do it with you. So I appreciate your time.